Revenue Bar Association. You've had a very checkered beginning. By the very recall of the names who are the founding members of this place, of this institution, you have emphasized as to what is the kind of beginning and leadership that you have been associated with. The very two names, besides the others, which invoke great respect, not only just in Tamil Nadu but all over, is of Justice Retired M.M. Ismail, late Justice Retired M.M. Ismail, and also Sri Parasaran. These are not, how can I say, these are not small names. These are, of course, such inspirational big names. When they think and form an association or form a group, it is with the larger interest of the country and for the well-being of the country. And that is why when you hold your third Saturday circles, study circles, I'm sure not only your members get informed, but the nuances of law, particularly related to revenue matters, are very well dispersed in terms of knowledge, and that itself is something which is true knowledge sharing. Not only are the professionals better informed, but sometimes I've heard even learned judges say that some arguments placed by some learned counsels are so revealing. So it is not just a contribution to its own membership, but also to look at the way in which details in law are the arms and tools with which cases are understood and decided upon. And therefore the role that you have is a very significant role, and I don't need to recall to you all about the various cases that you've taken up, which have had direct impact in the Ministry of Finance, whether it is in the formation of the appellate tribunals or also the recent tribunal, the GST related tribunal and its formation. So the role that you have, and you've taken it up very seriously, is very significant, and the points that further that I would stretch to make would also have a bearing on, I would think, your future activities. But what first I would like to highlight is you're the Revenue Bar Association on specific issues related to taxation, on specific issues related to taxpayers of India, and you being the bridge between the government and the taxpayer in a way. I'd like to present before you as to what exactly is the Prime Minister's vision in understanding how revenue generation has to happen, and how, with the revenue earned, many things which are necessary for India to build itself into a better country, a well-developed country, happens. But in the process, the first priority, as has been guided to me by my Prime Minister, is make it easy for people to comply. Make it simple for people to comply. And I will state this fact again. Revenue is the last consideration with which every budget set of meetings happen. You might think I'm not saying the truth, but this is the hard truth I'd like to put before you. Yes, we need to raise revenue. And during the budget consultations that I've had, several of them happen with the department, several of them happen with the Prime Minister's office and Prime Minister himself. Revenue raising comes later, simplifying and easing compliance on the taxpayer comes first. I repeat that. And if that is the approach Honorable Prime Minister has taken, and in my tenure, I can actually even speak about the tenure of my predecessors between 2014 and 19. But we did see how much of effort at the ground level happened in order to bring a one nation, one taxation GST during 2014 and 19. And after 19, even with the teething problems, how the entire process is being carried forward should stand as a testament to what Prime Minister Modi clearly puts before the country, that it is respectful of the federal system, center state, that we move forward on taxation matters. I will repeat this. The federal structure has to be respected and taken together if you want to have a taxation system where revenue generation happens without pain on the taxpayers, but revenue generation happens in order that both the center and the states can work together, both in developmental activities and also in widening the tax base. This is not just theory, and this is not an ideal. It is an ideal to which every day improvements will have to happen, and that's exactly the spirit with which we work in order that GST becomes a lot more successful. And this is, I'm putting the GST up front only because I'm underlining the fact, despite the rhetoric which many of the opposition leaders would want to say, oh, there is a lot of bitterness in the relationship, there's a lot of friction in the relationship. I will completely deny that. And I'll certainly deny it with commitment, because I see what happens in the GST Council, inside the Council when the meetings happen. People belonging to different parties as finance ministers, when they come into the GST Council, speak about how we'll have to work to ensure that there is greater simplification, greater rationalization, and of course, revenue generation. So for those of us who want to believe that discordant notes guide finance ministers' meetings, I would like to say that's the place where least of politics works. Every finance minister wants good revenue generation. Every finance minister wants to have widened tax base. But every finance minister is also conscious that when he goes back to his own constituency, he should be able to answer people that we are not, extracting revenue which is not justifiable. So, the spirit of revenue generation, both of the center and of the state, is more to see how evasion can be avoided or targeted, how evasion can be addressed, how compliance can be made a temptation by simplifying it so that people think it's better to comply, it's easy to comply rather than evade. These are the thoughts which govern or guide ministers when they sit in the GST Council. They also want to be sure that taxation, where it can be brought down, we will bring it down. And that's the spirit with which I think ideally we should be working. And therefore, Revenue Bar Association has an immense responsibility. In fact, I will start with my expectation being put before you. You told me that you're doing something unusual. You're not going to give me memorandum, but you're here to probably listen to the address and see what best you can contribute towards making, taxation simple and this announcement made in the budget. I'll straight come to that. The first thing I would think, not based on what I've announced in the budget, the first thing I would think is a Saturday study circle matter should be widely available in the digital platforms. You should be available in the social media to explain nuances in taxation. Because today social media has become a big, platform, a marketplace where ideas are thrown in, ideas are taken, ideas are picked up for quarrel, ideas are picked up for settlement as well, solutions as well. So your Saturday study circle, whatever issues you're talking among yourselves, talking about the nuances of taxes, about the various interpretations which are happening, and about the ways in which a particular tax can be viewed or anything else, should be widely available. Today you find in the social media, if you find 10 informed discussion, there are 100 uninformed discussions. Who's going to inform them? I don't want to negate them, Because of want of information, they seem to be spreading information which may not be found in facts or in law. Now, who's going to bring in, just as, let me divert for a minute, just as financial influencers in social media play a big role guiding people, put your money here, put your money there. Some of them are certified, some of them are not. Those who are not also have equal space. There are measures taken by regulators saying, no, if you're not a certified financial advisor, you can't advise on specifics. You may comment in general. Nobody stops. No freedom of expression is violated. Like that, if there are 10 people giving informed content, for those 100 who are coming up with uninformed content, shouldn't you be sharing knowledge? So I would invite your presence in the social media. Just as you are understanding budget and interpreting it and sharing your thoughts among your members, share your thoughts among the larger society who probably need your information. In the GST, because I started talking about it, because there is a reduced tax incidence, I'm sure you're familiar with the number. The revenue neutral rate was 15.3% at the time of GST launching, 2017. Since I'm talking to the Revenue Bar Association, I'm not going to define what is the revenue neutral rate. You all know it. But today, we've not kept it there only. Revenue neutral 15.3, so let it be there. No, we've not left it there. It's actually at 12.2% as of 2023. Meaning, we could be earning more. But no, we've brought down the rates. Again, right at the beginning, I'll explain as to why I'm elaborating so much on this. My pet peeve is there's just a lot of narrative. Oh, GST has come and burdened our lives. Because of GST, every item I'm, burden in, and government is collecting tax from me from oil, soap, comb, pencil, notebooks, everything. It's such an ironical situation. I take this opportunity to, when I'm speaking to y'all, Revenue Bar Association, to explain this little peeve that I have. So everybody thinks, oh, my notebook is being, taxed. Government is raising revenue out of my oil and soap daily necessities. See, when you move toward a transparent system, everything appears as though, oh my God, it's fallen on me this morning. No. And it is because of the transparency that the bill that you get from your shop tells you what is the component of CGST and what is the component of SGST, and therefore you're paying the tax on that item that you're buying. Tax has existed prior to GST. Probably they didn't mention it in the bill that this is the duty, VAT that you're paying. States collected it. Some states collected more, some collected less on the same item. But at that time, probably nobody felt the pinch because it was not before us. Now it's all before us. Should it be before us? Yes, because you need to know. We are in an age of information. Everybody wants to know how much is what, where, who takes it. So we're putting it out. But today it is now turned around to say, oh my God, look, for my little notebook that you're taking 9% here, central government takes, and so it's a double-edged sword. Information giving is required for transparency. But information giving has now become a common man's tool to say, government earns money out of everything that I do. The same argument is posed when every month we put out how much has been collected under GST the previous month. On 1st October, we put out how much was collected in September. The allegation was, oh my God, the government is celebrating GST collections. You're hurting common man, collecting money from his daily use items, and you're putting it out every month as though you're celebrating. Now, in the interest of transparency, we thought we're putting it out by state, by collection, CGST, SGST, IGST. No, you're celebrating it. So just that 1 month, 2 months ago, we said we won't put it out. It'll be available on the website. Those who want to take it, please go take it. I'm not stopping revealing the information. But when I'm putting it out, if it is a celebration, no, sorry, we're not celebrating. Take it from there. Before taking it from the website, you should have seen the noise which came from every quarter. Government is denying information, it is shutting information, it doesn't want to reveal it because GST income has fallen. I mean, my God, excuse me, what do you all want? You want me to put it out or you don't want me to put it out? So now there is a piece bought, I would think, that it is in the website, go take it if you want. You celebrate it or you don't, but I'm not closing information sharing. I want that information to be available, take it. But in a country where the angst is a few people are paying tax, you're burdening them, you're not taking tax from others. No, the attempt both by center and state is to widen the tax base. The figures show, and I would want to say here, today the total number of taxpayers, the GST I'm talking about, has grown to 1.47 crores. For a country of 140 crore people, may not be a big number, but much better than before. Today there is more people onboarding onto GST. I want to say that, and it is a 3 to 4%, fourfold increase since the time it was launched. And a survey conducted by some people, eminent group consultancy agency, shows that 84% of people who are participating in GST have expressed positivity about the GST. There are items on which we can greater simplify, greater improve, but there is a general satisfaction that GST has brought in a lot more regulation and a lot more ease in doing business. Nearly 60%, and this is where I want to underline, Tax Bar Association should know it, Revenue Bar Association should speak about it. Nearly 60% of all consumer items attract a GST rate of 5% or less. 5% or less. Randomly, if you pick up from this 60% of consumer items, they can always be 1 or 2 or 3 items. Even if you pick a group of 5, at least 3 items. Where pre-GST the rate was anywhere near 18 to 20%. Today they are all in 5%. That's what GST has brought in. Simplification and reduction in the rate. And because there is a 28%, the perception is, oh my God, 28% you tax. I'll tell you the number of items which are in the 28% bracket. Less than 3% of consumption items are in the 28% bracket. So if the larger principle of reduced rate for the common man has to be achieved, GST has achieved it and it is further achieving it for rate rationalization. You know, the GST Council has formed a group of ministers who are looking at rate reduction and rationalization. In the next meeting in September, 9th of September, and the 3 or 4 days from today, the GST Council will have a beginning made in understanding what the GOM has done till now, where we are on it now, and from then on take the discussion on what is it that we have to do to reduce the rates or rationalize the rates. So this meeting itself will not finalize it. I don't want false expectations. This meeting is the first time when they're going to look at what the group of ministers have said. They will be presenting the details. The officers would give a current status report, post which discussions will start happening. Now, if I go into the non-GST matters, direct taxes, for instance, a lot of technology has made ease of compliance, and I'm sure you will agree with it. Because technology was brought in and ease of compliance came, a few items which can make a big difference to the taxpayer is where you have pre-filled income tax forms with third-party information which are verified and then filled into the forms. You are able to give the assessee a pre-filled income tax return, which has made reporting income tax easier. I would like to underline the fact that refunds are getting distributed and done fairly in a reasonable time. I'd like to improve on it even further. Average processing time of returns was reduced from 93 days. That was the number in 2013-14. 93 days for processing returns. Today it has come down to 10 days only. An income tax base, meaning income tax payer tax base, has risen from 3.91 crores, that was in 2014, 3.91 crores to 7.97 crores in 23-24. So there is also greater sense of awareness among people today that they would rather comply and be part of those who file their returns, and rather than, being outside of it, because it has built-in advantages. Now, 24-25 budget, much was said about that budget, the announcements that I've made. I'd like to underline the fact that we are focusing on the agenda of simplifying tax, improving taxpayer services, provide tax certainty, and reduce litigation. These are the guiding principles with which we want to have the tax administration be brought in. We removed totally the angel tax which was brought in 2012. We tried doing some improvements on it, but no, it has been removed now in total. So that I'm sure helps a lot of the startup industry people. Much before I go to this point of, we've announced in the budget that we will be working within the next 6 months, since July, 6 months from July, to simplify the direct tax code. Much before I come to that, I'd like to say again on this information sharing not happening, articulation not happening completely, not from your side, from our side. Finance Ministry probably needs to do a lot more talking on actually what has happened in the last 10 years. And I'm happy to state this in a broad and general fashion. Not one rate was increased during these 5 years, last 5 years. Not one rate. Let there be any number of dissenters who will say, oh no, on STT you increased something. And the capital gains and some, yes, STT in particular because of certain kind of voices which came and also concerns expressed by regulators, we had to tweak the numbers. And also there were so many different, STT rates. So bring in some kind of a reasonableness into it that might have resulted in one going up and another coming down. Yes, I'm conscious of that. Similarly for capital gains, there was probably one asset class in which the rate probably went up a bit. And that I had explained then, I'm explaining it even now. None of this was with revenue consideration. They were very clearly for rationalizing them. We didn't want money out of it. We wanted the treatment to be simpler and similar. There was no intent to raise revenue. And my God, the concerns which started coming. I thought, I've increased the tax, income tax. Have I increased it? Or some magician came in between and increased it? No. Rate rationalization. And in fact, if anything has happened in the last 5 years, we brought in a new tax regime with simpler, lesser rate. And in that, within a matter of 12 months, just 1 year, we've increased the standard deduction. We've regrouped the income bands so that more of the higher income would go for a lesser rate. All this has been done. We've not increased anybody's income tax. But sometimes it doesn't get across till such a time that individual sits to file his own return saying, oh yeah, I'm benefiting this much, 14,500, 17,800 for some people. Till then, the noise is you've increased it. When they file it, I like to go knock at their doors and say, sorry, are you okay? That kind of a discord in understanding the intent of this government. And I'm laboring on this point, pardon me, because the Prime Minister's intent, and that should have been so obvious, and I will say this again, 2020, when COVID happened, and we had to spend huge amounts so that India gets its own vaccine. And India had to spend a lot more to make sure that the economy has, infusion of some incentives every here and there. Even then, the one-line instruction from Prime Minister was, you shall not increase any rate. There was immense speculation everywhere. Oh, there's going to be a COVID cess. Oh, there's going to be a tax, COVID tax. Nothing happened. At a time when people were speculating, saying there could be an increase in tax, we did not. Why will we do it now? And therefore, the Tax and Revenue Bar Association, while talking about the proposals which get cleared through the budget, I actually wish you highlight what has come out of these proposals. And finally, a few words on litigation management. I'm grateful that you mentioned that Vivad Se Vishwas scheme was brought in 2020. Now again, we've come up with the Vivad Se Vishwas. And first of all, as a major trust building step, monetary limits for filing appeals have all been raised so that in the direct taxes and also for excise and service tax, at the tax tribunal level, where it was 50 lakhs, now it's gone up to 60 lakhs. High Court, where it was 1 crore, it has gone up to 2 crores. And for Supreme Court, where it was 2 crores, it's gone up to 5 crores. This will reduce litigation and promote ease of doing business. And the Vivad Se Vishwas, of course, is also something on which there is a lot of emphasis, and we wish to highlight and speedily implement it. The recent budget, of course, we had mentioned very clearly that we shall go to the direct tax simplification. Within 6 months we will come. I want to make it clear that this is to make the act concise. The effort that is going on now for 6 months from July is to make the act concise, lucid, and easy to read and understand, of course. And it will reduce disputes and litigation is our expectation if we simplify it. And we also want to provide tax certainty. But I understand that it requires the inputs from various different sources. So I like to urge the members of the Revenue Bar Association to give detailed suggestions with specific provisions which need to be changed to make the Income Tax Act concise, simple, and one which reduces prolonged litigation. So, on this platform, before you, I urge your members to please give us detailed suggestions. Now, on the indirect taxes, we are again trying to reduce and streamline litigation. There also, in the GST Council's 53rd meeting, the GST Council recommended a monetary limit of 20 lakh for the GST Appellate Tribunal, 1 crore for the High Court, and 2 crore for the Supreme Court. This is very much in consistence with what we brought in the direct tax as well. As a consequence of this indirect tax suggestion, which has come from the GST Council, and because of the upward revision in the monetary limits, which was put through this finance bill and it got passed, a total of 7,755 appeals are likely to be withdrawn from various judicial fora. 7,755 appeals will be now withdrawn. In that, of course, 6,710 appeals are of direct taxation and 1,045 pertain to the indirect taxation. So I think that will greatly reduce the burden on the tax assessees, reduce the time you have to spend on small litigations. I think now the focus can go towards the high net worth disputes, so that we'll have more people attending to it, big ticket disputes can be handled. On the G-Stat, which is now formed, Justice retired Sanjay Kumar Mishra has been appointed as the first president of the GST Appellate Tribunal in Delhi. It marks a very big beginning, and the operationalization of GST Appellate Tribunal will make very big difference to the disputes. In addition to the principal bench, 31 state benches located in all parts of the country are happening. The process of appointment of judicial members and technical members are progressing rapidly. Establishment of the G-Stat would therefore enhance the effectiveness of GST system itself, is my belief. And finally, I would think use of AI, artificial intelligence, and use of technology has actually brought in a lot of simplification and ease of doing business as regards income tax and as regards GST. I would request the Revenue Bar Association to familiarize your members in handling technology-driven and AI-driven applications, so that you understand from where the Revenue Department or the Central Board of Direct Taxation or CBIC is working, because we find using artificial intelligence we were able to crack a lot of complicated cases. I've explained this before. You touch one, use AI, use machine learning, it takes you to every bit of what is connected. It just takes you everywhere. So the entire web gets touched if you touch one of them. And therefore there is no time lost. Earlier you found one, you'll go meet them, you get some information from them, then go searching for the next person, by which time that next person disappears from the world. None of that. Today the entire web is before you, and that is why you find Enforcement Directorate or the CBI or the Serious Fraud Investigation Office, SFIO, all of them cracking at a time on various cases without worry. So it looks for people from outside, oh my God, they're cracking, they're everywhere. Is this a fishing expedition? No. Artificial intelligence and machine learning have given us the lead advantage that if there is one wrongdoing in one place, you're able to touch upon so many simultaneously, and therefore action happens quickly. Some other time, I'll probably be able to speak about the restitution that has happened. The money which has gone to the banks because of this kind of efficient use of technology. And therefore, I would think the way forward is for the Revenue Bar Association members to be familiar with technology, familiar with use of technology, and be able to advise your clients as to how things work, how simplification has helped in compliance, and evasion cannot last for too long. It will be detected. And therefore, I would suggest to all of you all to contribute towards greater simplification of the tax network and framework that we have, and also the code. As much as you would do that, equally your members also should get adept at using technology so that you benefit with efficiency and the system gets cleaned up, so that all of us know that India is growing in a more transparent fashion, all of us can trust one another, and the system gains eventually. Thank you very much.